Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Hare. Welcome back to The Melodic Drummer. I wanted to talk to you today about an exercise that I've used with some of my students and myself to help develop some vocabulary for trading fours. This exercise is based on something that I originally learned from the wonderful Alan Dawson book, The Drummer's Complete Vocabulary, which features an extensive section of interpretations of Syncopation by Ted Reed. I'm going to focus on one interpretation in particular, and then I'm going to use that interpretation in a more musical way. And I'll take you through the steps and demonstrate some of the ideas along the way to sort of make all of this clear. Okay, so the first thing is, if you don't already have Syncopation, get Syncopation. This is a great book. It's endlessly useful. The Dawson book as well. I mean, it's a lifetime's of work just in these two books alone. So I'm going to turn to page 34, which is where I normally start with students. This is where the syncopated rhythms really kind of start to kick in. And what we're going to do is we're going to interpret the rhythms, the written rhythms, as accents in a triplet roll. Let me just back up a little bit. The first thing that you're going to want to do if you want to learn how to do this step by step, and you haven't done something like this before, is you want to think of the rhythms on the page, the written rhythms, as swung. That is, if it's on the beat, it's the first note of a triplet. If it's off the beat, it's going to be the third note of the triplet. Okay? So I'm going to play the first line of 34, number 1. I'm going to play it straight, and then I'm going to play it swung so you can hear the difference, not too fast. Okay? So it's like this. Here's straight. Okay, and notice I'm also doing the hi-hat on 2 and 4. Bass drum feathering all 4 quarter notes, hi-hat on 2 and 4. I usually call that jazz feet, and we're going to be using that throughout this exercise. Okay, so that's what straight sounds like. Here's what swung sounds like. Listen to the difference. Dot, 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 dot. You can hear the triplet inside of there. Okay? So then the next step after that, once you feel comfortable doing that, and I would recommend spending some time on just that, the next step, step 2, will be you're going to actually make those triplets explicit. So play all the triplets and play the written rhythm as accents inside of those triplets, still with the jazz feet. So I'm just going to play the first line for you again so you can hear what that sounds like. Okay, remember the rhythm is da, 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 da. Check it out. Okay, now it's starting to sound a little bit more interesting, okay? The next step after that, okay, and if that takes you a little bit to get comfortable with that, especially the hand-to-hand motion of the triplets, because you're going to be switching which hand is playing the accents. Beats 1 and 3 are on your right hand, beats 2 and 4 are on your left hand. Once you get comfortable with that, then the next step is this idea of the triplet roll. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to double all of the triplets. So each triplet essentially becomes 2 sextuplets. Okay? So I'm going to play what that sounds like without the accents. Okay? It just sounds like this. Okay? That's the basic sound. Now we're going to play this line again, and we're going to play all the accented notes still as accents, but all the unaccented notes in between the accented notes are going to be doubled. Okay? Now, let me just play this for you. Here's what it sounds like. So I'm trying to make a really clear distinction between the accented notes and the unaccented notes. And that's really important. As this gets faster, you want it to sound more and more almost just like a legato sound with just the accents jumping out. You know, and I'll show you what that sounds like in a moment here, okay? So once you feel like you can read through some of these pretty comfortably without stopping, in the fashion that I was describing. This is all in the Dawson book, by the way, if you want clear written examples. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start to apply this around on the drum set. And I'm going to use a pretty simple process for applying this on the drum set. Basically, all short notes, eighth notes or less, it's all going to be eighth notes at this point, those are all still going to be played as accents on the snare drum. All long notes, so quarter notes or more, are going to be on either the floor tom or the high tom, depending on which hand is playing. If the left hand is playing them, it's going to be the high tom. If the right hand is playing it, it's going to be the floor tom. Okay? Let me play this. I'm actually going to play the first line again. And I want you to listen to the sound here. Okay? So this is short-long interpretation, and I'm going to be using the toms here, okay? Ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba. Okay, so this gets us up to where I sort of take it to the next step. Okay, this is where it goes from just sort of being an abstract, physical, or like reading exercise, and this starts to become more musically applicable. Okay, as you read through these, certain rhythms are going to jump out at you. I want you to find what rhythm jumps out at you. So that's really subjective, but basically, if it sounds good to you, that's the right one. So pick that one and stop on it, and play it until you feel really good about it, like really comfortable. I liked the second line on page 34. I enjoyed the second line. I'll play for you what it sounds like using the short-long interpretation. Okay, it goes like this, a little faster. I just like the way that sounds. I like the way that feels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try playing 4 bars of time and then play 4 bars of that rhythm as written. Nothing fancy, okay? That's the first thing that you want to do, just to get used to this idea. So let me just find a nice tempo. That's 4 bars of time and then 4 bars of the line. Okay? Once you feel like you have that pretty comfortably, I want to take this another step further. So bear with me. One of the things that I really like to do when I'm practicing is to try to make sure that what I'm practicing is as close to an actual performance as possible. So you want to practice the way that you're going to play, right? So that way when you get into an actual playing situation, it doesn't catch you off guard. You know, you can prepare as much as possible. So one of the things about trading 4s that I find is often lacking in people, in my experience, in students' practice habits, is that they're not really thinking of the 4s in a song, okay? But you're never going to trade 4s not in a song, I promise. I mean, it's never happened to me anyways. It's always going to be over a form. So what I do to practice this is I just pick a melody and sing that melody while I'm doing the exercise. Now, this is actually kind of hard to do. And when I say sing, singing is not so important in terms of, you know, my vocal ability or how it sounds to you guys. It's more about me having a real clear mental grasp on where I am in the form at all times. And I like to do this over a blues because I love the blues, and also because of the 12-bar form, it means that you're constantly switching every chorus which 4-bar phrase you're playing over, which I think is slick. Really helps you keep sharp. Okay, so I like to use Blue Monk. If you don't know that melody, go learn the melody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sing Blue Monk, and I'm going to play 4 bars of time, 4 bars of the written phrase. Okay? That's going to sound like this. I apologize if you can't really hear me singing. You're not missing anything. Don't worry. Here we go. Okay. So I don't know if you noticed, but I started to get away from a little bit just a strict playing of the line. I started to sort of what I would call sort of ease out of the line to get back into playing time. And that's what I want you to do. So play the line as written for 3 bars, and then in that 4th bar you can start to transition back to the time. And this is a great exercise just by itself. If you can get through that, you're doing great, and it's really gonna give you a lot of mental strength for when you're actually playing and trading 4s. The next thing that I want to do with this is just basically slightly expand the scope of the improvisation. If you listen to somebody like Philly Joe, who's one of my favorite drummers, when he has a 4-bar phrase, he almost always splits that 4-bar phrase up into 2 2-bar phrases. So that's what we're going to do. The first 2 bars are going to be the written phrase, and the second 2 bars are going to be an improvised response to those 2 bars. Okay? We're going to go through the form the exact same way. Let me just play that for you so you can hear what that sounds like. Maybe a little faster. Okay, so by this point, you can hear this actually starts to sound like music. This starts to sound pretty good. And this is just sort of a framework for you to practice basically developing your improvisation in a sort of targeted way. In any case, a lot of this exercise is in your hands, right? You get to pick the line. You can pick what melody you want to use. You can pick how you improvise in response to the written line that you've chosen. All I'm doing is trying to give you a framework to improvise off of. You know, if you just try to approach trading 4s as I'm going to play whatever I want to, you're going to find that really daunting. You know, you have so many choices. It's much more productive to restrict your choices, you know, when you can improvise, how much you can improvise, over what form you're improvising. When you restrict it that way, improvisation surprisingly actually gets a lot easier. There's less decisions you have to make, and it leads to a much more realistic sounding exercise. In any case, I'll try to post more on this sometime on my blog in the near future. I hope you enjoy the exercise. Please feel free to ask any questions or leave comments down below, and I'll have a link to my blog below so that you can go and look at some written examples of this type of exercise. Thanks for checking the video out. I'll see you guys next time.